The story begins with a girl who is engrossed in reading a book. She reflects, I have one talent. I don't forget things I've seen before. Because of that, I can recite every character's description and even what the characters have done when I read a book. Closing her book, she remarked, among those books, I especially like Heal Me, Lady. So I even remember the middle names of nobles that only appear shortly, and I'm sure. Suddenly, a servant came and called for Lady Maleficent. Lady Maleficent thought to herself, the name that came out from the mouth of that person hurriedly calling my name is the villainess of Heal Me, lady named Orinda Maleficent. She gazed towards her maid, Anna, and mentioned, that hair and that eye color, it's Erlinda's maid, Anna. Anna, now taking her leave, mentioned, today is the entrance ceremony. Why did you only wake up now? But Orinda, looking at the mirror while fixing her hair, thought to herself, if this is a dream about Heal Me, Lady, it's really amazing. Wow, I look exactly the same, or if it's that dialogue. She thought that the time frame of this dream coincided with the Academy's entrance ceremony at the start of the book. The female lead and Orinda are set up to be the Academy's alumni. Orinda approached her maid Anna, studying her eyes closely. She couldn't shake off the feeling that this dream was incredibly vivid. Anna appeared so lifelike down to every detail. It was as if Orinda could count the freckles on her face. It was at that moment Orinda realized. Some time passed and Orinda's teacher issued a harsh punishment. Orinda Maleficent, even if you are from the Maleficent family, this is still the Academy. 3 laps around the field and do it while duck walking, the teacher commanded. Orinda felt her anger rising at the unfair treatment. Orinda found herself running across the Academy grounds, thoughts racing. Making a student duck walk around this massive Academy field 3 times? I'll let it slide, since it's just a dream. She muttered to herself, trying to make sense of the bizarre situation. Orinda suddenly felt a sharp pain shoot through her leg, causing her to collapse onto the ground. Clutching her leg in discomfort, she examined it closely. Why am I feeling pain? She wondered aloud, confusion evident in her voice. She reflected on the past, realizing the harsh truth. This wasn't just a dream. Now, lying on her bed, she contemplated her situation. In class, her thoughts were consumed by the question of how to return to reality. If it truly wasn't a dream, she couldn't afford to act foolishly. The stakes were higher now. She couldn't just think about herself. She had responsibilities to fulfill. After all, she wasn't just Orinda Maleficent anymore. Dressed in a somber black attire, she spoke with a wistful smile about the character she portrayed in the novel. The villain who met her demise at the hands of the male protagonist during her youthful prime. In her recollection, she vividly saw the image of the male protagonist severing her neck. Contemplating her predicament, she weighed her options carefully. On one hand, she could adhere to her scripted role, living out her fate and clinging to a faint hope of returning to reality, even if it meant a short but eventful existence that culminated in her execution. On the other hand, she considered the possibility of deviating from the original narrative, seizing control of her destiny by captivating the attention of all the male characters and forging a path to a longer, albeit more stable, life. Startled by the interruption, she turned to see her teacher's stern gaze fixed upon her. With a sigh of resignation, she realized she had once again drifted from the lesson. Orinda Maleficent. The teacher's voice rang out, breaking through her thoughts. You're distracting yourself during class again. Leave immediately and return only after completing a lap of duck walking. Accepting her punishment, she rose from her seat and exited the classroom, preparing herself for the physical exertion that lay ahead. Collapsed on the floor, she felt the weight of her teacher's reprimand pressing down on her. Get out right now and return after a lap of duck walking. The words echoed in her mind, drowning out all other thoughts. No matter how much she pondered her situation, there seemed to be only one inevitable conclusion: death. Sometime later, Orinda stood before her mirror, contemplating her reflection. Of course, Orinda Maleficent is pretty, but... She paused, her thoughts drifting to Serena Eleanor, the female lead of the story. Compared to Serena, Orinda is nothing. Serena is kind, pure, and beautiful. If it weren't for the male lead, I would have taken her for myself. But I didn't even have a choice about it in the first place, Arinda mused, her gaze fixed on her reflection. The Maleficent family is the best duchy in the empire. To seize power, the imperial family had the crown prince and I engaged. That's something I can't change because it happened before I possessed this body. Unless it's a matter of treason, it's impossible to break the engagement, Arinda muttered bitterly. In the meantime, the crown prince had fallen in love with another woman. I couldn't even stop it. So there's no other way to go except to follow the original plot closely, if I'm going to die either way. This is the most reliable way. Of course, there are a few issues in the middle, Arinda mused to herself. Suddenly, Serena came and called Arinda's name, their gazes locking. Arinda couldn't help but think, one of them being that the Serena I met was too kind and charming. How am I supposed to be harassing such a child? Serena handed Arinda her book, mentioning that she had left it there. Arinda closed her eyes, resigned to her fate. There's nothing I can do about it, though. Like the Arinda of the original story, I have to cause harm to Serena. Later on, with the help of my family, I'll successfully cause trouble for Serena. Arinda's older brother, in particular, harbored unrequited love for Serena, persistently harassing her alongside Arinda. Serena, who was very likely to steal their daughter's fiancé and power, was predictably unwelcomed by the Maleficent family. However, since only Arinda was under the protection of the Imperials, the situation remained precarious. Arinda's father and others from the Maleficent family used her as a shield and committed countless evil acts against Serena. She didn't have a choice but to move on because she had to faithfully carry out the original plot. Arinda could only hope Serena would overcome all the hardships and have a happy ending. I'm sorry, Serena. It broke my heart to ruin you. And she left. The sinner who has committed evil acts against innocent citizens of the Empire, Arinda Maleficent. The Crown Prince wanted to end our engagement and execute me in return for harming his lover. My father and older brother, who'd been using me as a shield, abandoned me at the execution site. Arinda cast an evil gaze at Serena, who stopped looking at her. Arinda, with both hands clasped behind her back, thinks, I regret leaving a scar on Serena's face, but I couldn't do anything about it because that was what happened in the original story. This is really the end. The last words of Arinda Maleficent. Arinda shouts, Serena, I hate you to my core, and Serena looks at her quietly. Now, Serena, actually, I really liked you. Goodbye. Goodbye, Serena. Finally, it's the end. It'd be great to return to reality. Or, well, I might just die. As a man readies to strike Arinda's neck, she suddenly wakes up from her dream in her bed and screams. She touches her neck and mentions, my neck, it's intact. Her maid Anna comes to her room and mentions the entrance ceremony is today, asking why she woke up so late. But Arinda thinks, wasn't that of eternal death? Arinda, now sitting on her bed, is scared about the ceremony and mentions, the pain I felt when the sharp blade sliced my neck, it was so vivid. She grabs her head and says, oh my gosh, I've returned to the body that I had possessed. Anna is worried about what Arinda is doing. Arinda thinks to herself that no matter what, the price of living as a villain was a return to the past, so this time she'll take off the title of villain and live a normal life. Arinda contemplates that such an ending isn't all that bad either. All she's got to do is live her life quietly, right? Meanwhile, Serena is now with the prince at the ceremony, and she looks at Arinda, and they both lock eye contact. Arinda smiles and mentions, I don't have to harass Serena, so this way is certainly more advantageous. Arinda shows signs of anger as Noah Hensley von Edmund mentions he doesn't need 2 wives because Serena doesn't like it, and he leaves. She thinks to herself, are you crazy? You don't have a reason to execute me, but you're just going to anyway. She takes a deep breath, contemplating her options. Can't I go against fate even if I do things this way? I'll die anyway. She then addresses Noah, expressing her frustration. You crazy bastard. If you continue acting this way, when you ascend the throne and become the emperor, you'll be so done for. Noah chuckled as he retreated, leaving Arinda alone in her cell. Seems like you've gone crazy with your death approaching. But what should we do? I've already finished talking to your family, he taunted before departing, his laughter echoing down the corridor. 2 guards escorted Arinda from her cell, their firm grip a reminder of her captivity. As she was led away, thoughts swirled in her mind. I was used by my family once again. I am tired of living as Arinda Maleficent, she lamented silently, her resolve faltering. Just let me die peacefully, she pleaded to the unseen forces that governed her fate. Arinda stirred from her slumber at the call of her maid, Anna. As Anna busied herself fixing Arinda's hair, she couldn't help but comment on Arinda's habit of sleeping in. It's troublesome that you sleep so much in the morning, Anna remarked, a hint of frustration evident in her tone. I can't wake you up when you're at the academy. Arinda rested her hand on her chin, lost in thought. This is already the 3rd time I'm hearing this nagging. She mused silently. Her mind drifted to her appearance, a reflection of the Maleficent family's symbols, the coveted black hair, elegant golden eyes reminiscent of melted gold. I'm used to this face now, she acknowledged with a mixture of resignation and familiarity. Her maid, Anna, persisted, My lady, are you listening to me? But Arinda, lost in her thoughts, barely mustered a response. She smiled faintly and assured Anna, Yes, I'm listening. Deep in contemplation, Arinda reflected on Anna's loyalty, acknowledging silently that Anna had remained by her side until the very end, through all the trials and tribulations. At the same time, she's also the person who helped the most when it came to harassing Serena, and also she got the same punishment. Anna fixes Arinda's tie with a smile, and Arinda thinks that seeing a person who died twice nagging before her is rather shocking. However, she reflects that perhaps it's not that shocking if you look at it from another angle. Arinda gazes towards the sky, feeling the weight of her experiences. She expresses her frustration aloud, questioning the inexplicable journey she has been on. From possessing a character in a novel to facing death twice and returning twice, she finds it all nonsensical. She questions the purpose behind these events, wondering why she keeps returning to this same body, only for it to end in death each time. With a mix of anger and desperation, she demands answers from the unknown forces that seem to control her fate. Anna begins to speak, but Arinda's thoughts drift elsewhere. She reflects on similar situations encountered in games where, despite changes in details, the outcome remains largely unchanged. This pattern extends to her own experiences, particularly her repeated deaths. Arinda grapples with the idea that despite her efforts and any alterations in her approach, the ultimate result remains consistent. Anna's words about the potential attention Arinda might receive from young lords remind her of the complexities surrounding her engagement. Arinda acknowledges the precarious nature of her relationship with her fiancé, considering his previous betrayal with Serena. Arinda reflects on Serena's role in her previous betrayal, considering it understandable given the circumstances. However, she directs her frustration towards the Crown Prince for his actions, which ultimately led to her death twice. Anna reminds Arinda of the constant presence and influence of the Maleficent family, emphasizing their role in shaping her life. Arinda acknowledges this, noting the significant impact of both the Crown Prince, Noah, and Duke Maleficent on her life, considering them to be like persistent afflictions that hinder her happiness. Arinda contemplates her options, feeling trapped by her circumstances. She considers the idea of feigning madness to sabotage her engagement, but realizes that even if she were to escape that predicament, the influence of the Maleficent family would still loom over her. Arinda nods, taking Anna's words to heart. Determined to live confidently despite her grim fate, she resolves to defy the expectations placed upon her and live life on her own terms, regardless of the consequences awaiting her. She knows going to die anyway. She does everything she wants and die afterwards. Everything else is not important. From now on, she will walk her own path. Despite Anna's insistence, Arinda remains hesitant to visit her father. She is weary of the strained conversations and uncomfortable interactions that have characterized their previous encounters. After experiencing such encounters twice before, Arinda is reluctant to subject herself to another round of awkward conversations and unspoken tensions. Her desire to avoid such discomfort outweighs any sense of obligation to greet her father politely. Anna's knocking signals Arinda's compliance, albeit begrudgingly, to fulfill this familial duty. As the door opens, Arinda is overcome with a sense of discomfort and resentment towards her father, whose voice alone elicits feelings of sickness within her. Arinda steps into the room, immediately noticing her father's smile, which she interprets as hypocritical and sinister. She senses a hidden meaning behind his expression, one that is likely to bring her trouble or discomfort. The man insists that Arinda come closer, but she refuses, expressing her reluctance to comply with his request. The man is taken aback by Arinda's response, expressing surprise at her tone. He questions her, asking what kind of attitude she's using. However, Arinda remains composed, nonchalantly tending to her nails as she points out her father's neglect in forgetting her academy entrance ceremony, a fact that she finds displeasing. With a confident smile, Arinda reflects on her status as the sole daughter of the Maleficent family and the fiancée of the Crown Prince. She believes that her father wouldn't want to publicly call her out and risk causing her embarrassment. In her mind, this means she currently holds the upper hand in their interaction. With a composed demeanor, Arinda responds to her father, acknowledging his busy schedule and indicating that she understands he may not have the time to attend to her affairs. She reassures him that moving forward, there's no need for him to concern himself with her matters. With a smile, she redirects her father's attention to a more practical matter, requesting him to handle her allowance instead. In her mind, she contemplates that even if she were to indulge herself fully, it still wouldn't feel like it's sufficient. As her father appears puzzled, they exchange glances, each seemingly understanding the underlying dynamics at play. As she exits the room, her mind lingers on the idea that even if she were to indulge herself fully, satisfying her desires for good food and leisure activities, it still wouldn't feel like it's enough. As Arinda arrives at the palace, she reflects on the familiarity of the setting, noting that it's her third time attending the academy. The experience is akin to taking a college entrance exam 3 times and returning immediately upon receiving the test results. Arinda expresses relief at the thought of not facing death in such a manner and disembarks from the horse carriage. Her maid Anna reminds her of the need to write letters, prompting Arinda to acknowledge Anna's consistent reminders with gratitude, despite it being the 3rd time she's heard them. Arinda, finding herself at the palace door ahead of schedule, wonders if she arrived too early as she notices the absence of others. Unsure of how to occupy her time, she spots a nearby water fountain and decides to sit by it. Reflecting on the location, she recalls the incident where she pushed Serena into the fountain. Arinda muses to herself, acknowledging that Serena may not have been as captivating in appearance during their past encounters. She reflects on the power of beauty, noting that despite the Crown Prince's charm and the attention he commands, he pales in comparison to Serena's allure. Contemplating further, Arinda considers the numerous admirers drawn to Serena and entertains the notion that her appeal extends beyond the realm of romantic attraction. Arinda, taken aback by the sudden touch on her shoulder, reacts with a startled shout. When she turns around, she is surprised to find Serena standing before her. Serena, realizing she has startled Arinda, offers an apology for the interruption, expressing regret for any inconvenience caused. Arinda, contemplating Serena's presence, feels a sense of disorientation. She questions whether Serena typically arrived at the academy at this hour, recalling her role in the novel as the one who usually entered the banquet hall last. As she stammers in front of Serena, Arinda finds herself questioning her own character, feeling unsettled by this unexpected interaction. Arinda, realizing the insignificance of her past life as Arinda Maleficent from the novel, refocuses her attention on the present moment. She turns back to Serena and asks if there's something wrong. When Serena mentions her difficulty with directions and inquiries about the way to the banquet hall, Erinda responds gently, stating that she's unsure but offers to help Serena find her way. Erinda, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness akin to meeting a favorite celebrity up close, responds to Serena, assuring her that she knows the way to the banquet hall. Serena observes the red ribbon adorning Erinda's attire and remarks on its color. Erinda confirms Serena's observation with a simple, "It seems so." Erinda moves closer to Serena and suggests, "Oh, it seems like we're both the same age. Then, should we start speaking casually to each other?" Erinda smacks her head with her hand, thinking, "I shouldn't have responded like that. Since we're both the same age, can we talk casually to each other? Pardon?" Serena laughed and suggested, "How about we drop the honorifics? It seems like fate that we met like this." Erinda agreed with a nod. But Erinda interrupted, sensing Serena's unease. "You don't need to care about my background too much. We're at the academy right now," Erinda reassured her. Serena complimented Erinda, saying she was very kind. Erinda responded modestly, "I'm not as kind as you think I am." Internally, she reflected on her past actions, acknowledging, "In the beginning, I persistently bothered you to make you go back home." Serena's assurance to Erinda was met with a cynical thought from Erinda. Despite Serena's claim of having a good eye for people and affirming Erinda's goodness, Erinda couldn't help but think, "The fact that you picked the crown prince out of all the other male leads just confirms that you don't have a good eye for people." Serena asked Erinda about her major, to which Erinda replied that she was studying magic. In response, Serena expressed her excitement, mentioning that she was also studying magic and that they must be in the same class. She conveyed her joy at the prospect of being classmates with Erinda. Serena smiled warmly, while Erinda couldn't help but reflect. She remembered how she persistently bothered Serena, and when she didn't, she avoided her as if she were invisible. Now, knowing that they would be in the same class, Erinda found it unexpectedly pleasant. Erinda smiled in agreement with Serena's proposal. "That sounds like a wonderful idea," she replied. "Let's leave our belongings here and explore a bit more before the ceremony begins." As Erinda reminisced about her past interactions with Serena, she couldn't help but feel a pang of regret. "In my second life, even without Serena involved, I still had an ill-fated destiny," she thought to herself. The memories of her previous actions weighed heavily on her mind, reminding her of the choices she once made. As Erinda reached out to touch the door, her thoughts were consumed by the present moment. "But in this life, even though it hasn't even been an hour since we've met, it feels like we're lifelong friends," she mused inwardly. Meanwhile, Serena casually picked up her bag, seemingly comfortable and at ease in their budding friendship. As Serena remarked to Erinda about their early arrival, the door unexpectedly swung open, revealing Noah standing before them. Erinda's sharp response to Noah's presence caught him off guard. Serena, sensing the tension, inquired about who was inside, to which Erinda dismissed the notion, suggesting it might have been just the sound of a barking dog. Noah, taken aback by Erinda's choice of words, found himself confused by her abrupt dismissal. Erinda quickly shut the door and seized Serena's hand, urging her to leave the area swiftly. As they hurried away, Erinda couldn't shake off the discontent in Noah's expression. Regardless of her actions, the inevitability of her demise remained unchanged. Until that fateful day arrived, she resolved to maintain her distance and project an air of arrogance, determined to assert her control over her own fate. As Serena admired the flower, Erinda sat nearby, her mind consumed by thoughts of separating Serena from Noah. She wrestled with the realization that, as an evil character, she may be powerless to alter the storyline. Despite her efforts, Serena's affection for the Crown Prince seemed inevitable. As Erinda contemplated her fate of repeatedly facing death and resurrection, Serena approached, sensing Erinda's distress. Erinda feigned nonchalance, replying to Serena's concern with a dismissive "nothing." Serena's words caught Erinda off guard. She had been trying to maintain a facade of composure, but Serena's perceptiveness saw through it. Orinda hesitated for a moment before responding, "It's nothing, really, just some thoughts running through my mind." However, she couldn't shake off the feeling that Serena's ability might reveal more than she wanted to share. Serena's ability to discern emotions added another layer of complexity to their interactions. Orinda couldn't help but wonder how much Serena could perceive about her true intentions. It was a reminder that despite her efforts to conceal her feelings, Serena might still have insights into her innermost thoughts and desires. This realization only heightened Orinda's unease about the situation and the potential consequences of her actions. Orinda accepted the flower with a smile, touched by Serena's kindness. Despite the internal turmoil Orinda grappled with, Serena's genuine warmth and appreciation brought a sense of solace. Holding the flower in her hand, Orinda couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope amidst the uncertainties of her situation. She thanked Serena sincerely for the gesture, cherishing the moment of genuine connection between them. Orinda wiped away her tears, her mind swirling with a mix of emotions. Serena's unexpected insight stirred a whirlwind of thoughts within her. She wondered if Serena too harbored memories of their past lives, if she could sense the weight of their intertwined destinies. Despite the turmoil in her heart, Orinda composed herself, nodding silently at Serena's words. It was time to leave the palace, but the questions and uncertainties lingered, casting a shadow over their newfound bond. Orinda contemplated that the situation was now officially underway. Selena would encounter all the male protagonists at the ceremony, with a notable presence being Crown Prince Noah on this particular day. Serena hurried towards the palace room as the guests observed her. Noah remarked, "Who is causing such a commotion?" As Noah and Serena locked eyes, Orinda thought to herself, "He clearly has an interest, but he's quite the dramatic king." Serena commented, "There are so many people. If we leave our luggage here and go, something significant must have occurred, right?" They both entered the room to find it filled with guests. Serena speculated, "Perhaps we're late." Orinda disagreed, reassuring her, "That's not true," and offered her a seat. Suddenly, Noah entered the room and approached both of them. Orinda wondered, "What? Is he going to confront Selena in a different manner?" Unexpectedly, Noah grabbed Orinda's hand and exclaimed, "How dare you do this to me?" before swiftly running away. Startled, Orinda exclaimed, "What the? This guy is crazy." Serena glanced at Noah, taken aback by his red eyes. However, Noah continued to pull Orinda towards the stage. Serena intervened, saying, "Wait, it's time to start the ceremony." Noah interrupted sharply, "Do you want your throat cut immediately for the royal insult?" Orinda's thoughts raced in disbelief. "This is violence. Don't you learn this at school? You punk, the crown prince." Noah released her hand, his tone ominous as he stated, "You know what you've done, don't you?" Orinda responded firmly, "The admission ceremony is about to begin. I know, it's a mistake to be here." Noah retorted, "Keep it short. You sure want your throat cut." Orinda retorted, "This is an academy where one should discern between status and the capability to harm others, isn't it? Petty matters, regardless. You've only made a spectacle of yourself, and you were brought here." Noah was taken aback, questioning, "How could I know it?" Orinda responded coolly, "Because I'm a reader and I've memorized all the details of the novel." Despite being an incident, Noah, unaware of the truth, nearly beheaded his servant. However, that was not the reality of the situation. The king desired his son to become a noble ruler, hence he sent him to the academy. Orinda confronted him, saying, "In the next 3 years, I know very well that in the next 3 years you will receive no support from the royal family. So if you wish to receive the royal favors, I can't give you anything." Noah responded, "If you fight against me, as soon as you graduate, you cannot escape from my anger." Orinda, with determination, replied, "Then I must fight hard against you because being bullied by you, though, is a lot like dying. Can't I go crazy? Will you break our engagement?" Noah retorted, "You're acting like you're breaking our engagement." From the hall, someone announced that the ceremony had begun. Arinda swiftly remarked, I'll go first, or can you go to the ceremony by yourself, before darting away. Noah stood, bewildered, muttering, Arinda is crazy. Arinda ran along the ground, clutching both her ears in response to her punishment. As thoughts raced through her mind, she pondered whether her current situation was real or merely a scene from a novel. Frustration filled her as she perceived the world to be against her. Questions echoed in her mind. Why were she and her companion late, yet only she faced punishment? Determination flared within her as she resolved that even if it meant risking her life, she would ensure her companion faced consequences too. A glimmer of hope emerged as she recalled her proficiency in physically enhanced magic. Observing a young man with brown hair undergoing the same punishment as herself, Arinda couldn't help but wonder if he, too, faced repercussions. Summoning her courage, she addressed him, Are you Reynard, the one who received the swordsmanship scholarship? However, Reynold offered no response, prompting Arinda to conclude that he was ignoring her. Reflecting on the situation, she realized that in the original novel, she had no interactions with anyone other than Selena. Reynard Watson. A simple-hearted knight, Reynard had always silently defended Selena, his loyalty unwavering. Despite his noble intentions, his fate was a tragic one, never having the chance to express his feelings. Arinda couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for him. His quiet demeanor and serious nature were complemented by his deep love for books, a trait that endeared him to her even more. Arinda sprinted closer to Reynard with a warm smile on her face. Yesterday, at the ceremony, did you arrive late, or perhaps oversleep? She inquired, hoping to engage him in conversation. However, Reynard simply gazed at her before responding. Don't you tire yourself out with all that talking while running? Despite his blunt reply, Arinda couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. She had managed to initiate a conversation with him, and in her mind, it was a perfect success. Arinda responded quickly, It's because my legs don't hurt. But before she could utter another word, Reynard abruptly turned and fled. Arinda felt her strength falter, collapsing to her knees. As she struggled to rise, she couldn't shake the thought that continued use of her magic might expose her tendency for thriftiness, a secret she preferred to keep hidden. The sensation of being ignored weighed heavily on her, fueling a surge of purple magic that enveloped her entire body. Arinda approached Reynard once more, determined to break through his silent demeanor. Reynard, we're both in the same situation. Let's talk for a bit, she urged him. Reynard, however, responded with a comment on her apparent recovery, noting, Is your fitness restored? It seems like you've been training hard. Undeterred, Arinda introduced herself, saying, My name's Arinda Maleficent. And you're Reynard Watson, right? As she spoke, she couldn't help but reflect, You may not speak much, but I know you perfectly well. I understand your character. Reynard finally broke his silence, addressing Arinda directly. Yesterday, you arrived late to the ceremony. Are you the one who received the swordsmanship scholarship? He asked, his tone revealing a hint of curiosity. Arinda was taken aback by his question, responding with disbelief. I can't even use a sword. Reynard persisted, his inquiry probing deeper. But if you weren't the one who practiced a lot, you wouldn't be performing so well? Arinda hesitated for a moment before admitting, That's because of magic. Arinda was keenly aware of Reynard's preference for honesty and his disdain for those who didn't give their best effort. She knew he detested deceit and frowned upon any form of trickery. Moreover, she understood that if she were to use magic in his presence, he would likely view it as a transgression deserving of consequences. You must pay for something like that, she imagined him saying sternly, reinforcing his principles against shortcuts and dishonesty. Arinda's cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she responded, I walk for an hour per day so. Yeah, Reynard's astonishment was evident as he questioned, Just an hour, really? Feeling the weight of Reynard's disapproval, Arinda quickly corrected herself. No, actually 2 hours. She knew all too well that Reynard abhorred dishonesty. His next words echoed her sentiment. It would be a waste not to utilize your natural physical fitness. Arinda silently acknowledged his wisdom, determined to uphold honesty in their interactions. Arinda couldn't shake off her growing worry as she pondered why things were taking an unexpected turn. She began to question whether there might be passages in the novel that she had overlooked or failed to pay enough attention to. Reynard's inquiry about their classes brought her back to the present moment. "I'm in Class A," she responded hesitantly. The exchange left her feeling unsettled, as if a crucial piece of the puzzle was still missing. As Arinda contemplated the composition of her class, she realized that there was one more potential candidate for the role of the male lead. With herself and Selena focusing on the study of magic, and Reynard dedicated to honing his swordsmanship skills in a different class, she couldn't help but wonder who among her classmates might fit the bill. The mystery surrounding the identity of this additional candidate only deepened her intrigue. Reynard's revelation about the Academy's midterm class change policy prompted Arinda to reconsider her options. However, her initial response betrayed her apprehension. "No, actually, I can't. Wield a sword?" she blurted out, her lack of confidence evident. Yet, Reynard surprised her with an unexpected offer. "I can teach you swordsmanship," he proposed, his tone suggesting genuine willingness to assist her in overcoming her limitations. This unexpected gesture sparked a glimmer of hope within Arinda, as she contemplated the possibility of learning from Reynard. Reynard's comment about Arinda's physical fitness caught her off guard. "I really feel sorry for your physical fitness," he remarked. "If you practice swordsmanship a lot, you will be a good swordsman." Arinda couldn't help but feel puzzled by his words. What is he talking about? She wondered to herself. Aranda's run limit is just 100 m. His suggestion seemed to disregard her physical limitations, leaving her unsure of how to respond. As Arinda suddenly experienced breathing difficulties, Reynard's accusation cut through the air. "It's a lie. I know that you're lying," he declared, his voice firm and unwavering. Arinda felt a surge of panic, coupled with the weight of Reynard's piercing gaze. His assertion left her feeling exposed and vulnerable, unsure of how to explain her sudden physical distress. As time passed, Serena appeared on the scene, offering a gesture of concern. "Arinda, you seem to be sweating a lot. I brought you a wet tissue," she said, her tone filled with empathy. Arinda couldn't help but notice Reynard's continued presence, prompting her to speculate inwardly. Why doesn't he go? Is it because of Selena? Her thoughts swirled with uncertainty, wondering if Reynard's lingering was somehow connected to Selena's presence nearby. Reynard grabs the tissue from Arinda's hands, his demeanor solemn as he addressed her. "You said you were Arinda Maleficent, right?" he began. "It seems that you hate swordsmanship. Then you lied to me." His words hung heavy in the air, confronting Arinda with the realization that her attempt to conceal her aversion to swordsmanship had been uncovered. She felt a mix of shame and regret as she grappled with the consequences of her deception. Serena's expression mirrored her shock as she turned to Arinda, seeking confirmation. "Do you hate swordsmanship?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. Arinda hesitated for a moment before responding with a simple, "Yes." Arinda grappled with the realization that she should have considered Reynard's background in the School of Action. With a sense of resolve, she made up her mind. "I should confess now," she thought to herself, "that I used magic? Yes, I'm telling the truth now." Taking a deep breath, she turned to Reynard. "I used magic," she admitted, her voice steady. "But I believe that if you practice it with me, you will like it." Her words hung in the air, a mix of honesty and hope. Reynard approached Arinda with a reassuring demeanor. "So, don't be scared. Let's practice it together," he suggested, extending an invitation that Arinda hadn't expected. As their eyes met, a sense of relief washed over Arinda. A person who follows appearances seriously, she realized, finding solace in Reynard's acceptance despite her earlier deceit. With newfound determination, she affirmed her commitment to practice with Reynard, ready to embark on a journey of improvement together. Serena's inquisitive gaze turned towards Arinda, seeking clarification. "But you said you don't like it," she remarked, her curiosity evident. Arinda scratched her head nervously, feeling a surge of honesty within her. "I like it now," she admitted, her voice soft but resolute. The admission marked a shift in Arinda's perspective, as she acknowledged her evolving feelings towards swordsmanship. Reynard's proposal to practice together filled Arinda with a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Okay," he said, breaking the silence between them. "Then from tomorrow afternoon, we're going to practice here." Arinda felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment, but she couldn't deny her eagerness to spend more time with Reynard and improve her skills. Deep down, Arinda understood that Reynard's affections were likely directed towards Selena. Despite this knowledge, she couldn't help but hope that their newfound connection through practicing swordsmanship might change something between them. As Arinda and Serena walked together in the hall, Serena's concern for Arinda's well-being surfaced once again. "Is that man the one who got the swordsmanship scholarship?" she inquired, her gaze drifting towards Reynard. "I saw him receive the scholarship on stage yesterday. Didn't you accept his suggestion too quickly? You could have fainted soon." "I'm really worried about you," Serena expressed, her voice filled with genuine concern. Arinda responded with a reassuring smile. "I'm okay," she insisted, wanting to alleviate Serena's worries. Despite her outward reassurance, Arinda couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty lingering within her. She knew that her decision to accept Reynard's offer so readily might have consequences, but she was determined to face them head-on. Arinda confided in Serena, expressing her desire to become closer to Reynard. "I want to get a little closer to Reynard. He seems to be a good guy," she admitted, hoping to bridge the gap between them. However, Serena's concern for Arinda's well-being was evident in her response. "But if you're tired, you have to stop. Okay?" Serena cautioned, prioritizing Arinda's health above all else. Despite Serena's words of caution, Arinda couldn't shake the feeling of unease. "But why is Selena scared of Reynard?" she wondered to herself. The sudden change in Selena's behavior puzzled Arinda, leaving her with lingering questions about the dynamics between her friend and Reynard. As the bells chimed, signaling the end of their conversation, Arinda reminded Serena of their academic responsibilities. "We have to study now," she asserted, her tone firm yet gentle. Serena, however, responded with an unexpected revelation. "Arinda, you know everything about the academy. Because I have studied here 2 times. Because my brother studies here," she exclaimed, her words tinged with confusion. Arinda paused, taken aback by Serena's revelation. "Huh?" she responded, her mind racing to comprehend Serena's sudden disclosure. Serena continued, recounting a peculiar encounter she had earlier that day. "Come to think of it, I met some people having yellow eyes today," she recalled. "He winked at me all the time, and before I left, he gave me an air kiss." Serena's words trailed off, leaving both her and Arinda puzzled by the strange encounter. Serena let out an awkward laugh as she realized the identity of the mysterious individual with yellow eyes. "As it turns out, he's your brother," she admitted, a hint of amusement in her voice. Arinda's expression softened as she processed the revelation. "I apologize to you for his behavior," she replied sincerely, feeling a mix of embarrassment and responsibility for her brother's actions. As Serena and Arinda stood together, Serena remarked, "This class is a basic magic application lesson, right? I'm looking forward to it." Arinda nodded in agreement, sharing Serena's anticipation for the upcoming lesson. However, their conversation was interrupted by someone calling Arinda's name. The mention of the Crown Prince seeking her out left Arinda feeling shocked and uncertain. If the Crown Prince is not finding Selena, is it okay? She wondered silently, her thoughts racing with unanswered questions about the unexpected summons. As Arinda entered the Crown Prince's class, she was met with stunned expressions from everyone present. Murmurs filled the room as whispers of confusion and surprise spread among the students. "Isn't she Maleficent?" someone exclaimed, their words echoing through the room. "The Crown Prince's fiancée." Arinda felt a wave of discomfort wash over her as all eyes turned towards her. The unexpected attention left her feeling exposed and vulnerable, unsure of how to navigate the situation. She realized that her presence had sparked speculation and gossip among her classmates, adding to the already tense atmosphere. Arinda approached Noah, the crown prince, with a mixture of apprehension and determination. "Hey, even though you're the crown prince, shouldn't the one with something to say find the other directly?" she began, her voice tinged with frustration. "I was worried when I heard you were looking for me. I thought you might have lost a leg or something, and I had to find you. Thankfully, your legs are okay," she continued, her words hurried and urgent. "Because of you, I was punished. Next time, I hope you'll be punished with me," she concluded, her tone laced with a hint of defiance as she smacked the door shut behind her. As Arinda walked through the hall, her thoughts were consumed by a desire to provoke a sarcastic response from someone. However, her musings were interrupted by a young man with blonde hair who approached her. "I was impressed by your angry comment," he remarked, catching her off guard. "We're all in the same class, don't you know that?" The young man introduced himself as Luke Oscar, a candidate for the male lead. He was famous and renowned for his skills as a mage, deserving of recognition and admiration. Arinda couldn't help but feel a sense of intrigue and curiosity about this new acquaintance who had suddenly appeared in her path. Arinda responded to Oscar's comment with a curt remark, "Step aside. I'm going to be late for class." Oscar, however, remained undeterred, replying confidently, "If you were late, I would be late too." Arinda, feeling the tension rising, suggested calmly, "Then what if we go to class peacefully?" As they exchanged words, Arinda couldn't shake the feeling that meeting Oscar was not a positive experience. She regarded him as a troublemaker, always embroiled in some sort of mischief. Her suspicions were seemingly confirmed when Oscar laughed in response to her proposal. Oscar approached Arinda, asking for a favor, to which she responded tersely, "Tell me fast before I turn it down." Oscar seemed puzzled by her quick dismissal, questioning, "Why is that? This is not a very bad offer to you," as he smiled. Arinda, however, remained skeptical, her thoughts racing. "You're going to ask me to hold Selena for a second." "Nonsense," she mused internally. Despite her reservations, Arinda replied, "Anyway, Selena, you know, she's my partner." Oscar's laughter filled the air as he responded, "Don't you think that I'd ask you to hold Selena? Do I look like someone who has to rely on others?" He then continued, "You know, right? To maximize the results of magic research or training, the members of class I have to choose a partner for the whole 3 years of school." Arinda nodded, understanding the importance of having a dedicated partner for academic and training purposes. Despite her initial skepticism towards Oscar, his explanation shed light on the context behind his request, prompting her to reassess her assumptions about him. Arinda responded firmly, "We don't get along. I'm going to refuse it anyway." However, Oscar persisted, suggesting, "If you become my partner, your academic results will be guaranteed, right?" Arinda shook her head, her resolve unwavering. "I don't like it," she reiterated. Inwardly, she reflected on her priorities. "In this life, I want to become Selena's partner," she thought, reaffirming her loyalty to her friend above all else. Oscar's words lingered in the air as Arinda prepared to leave. "Think carefully. There are not many such opportunities," he urged. Arinda, feeling the weight of his statement, responded hastily, "I'm late now," before departing. As she walked away, she couldn't help but ponder Oscar's sudden behavior. "Why does he behave like that all of a sudden? I haven't done anything to him," she thought, puzzled by the unexpected encounter and his insistence on forming a partnership. Arinda's senses sharpened as she felt the presence of purple magic creeping towards her hair. Reacting swiftly, she instinctively blocked it, her shock palpable. "Binding magic! What the hell are you doing, Oscar?" she exclaimed, her voice tinged with a mixture of alarm and frustration. The sudden appearance of the magic, coupled with Oscar's involvement, left her reeling with confusion and apprehension. With a sly smile, Oscar responded. A person who doesn't know how to dispel a spell isn't something a new student can handle. Irinda realized her mistake, feeling a pang of regret for her misstep. Oscar continued, urging her to reconsider his offer to become his partner. As Irinda busied herself with cooking, her mind wandered back to the recent events with Oscar. Stirring the pot absent-mindedly, she couldn't shake the questions swirling in her head. Because I acted against the original, I can understand other people. But why suddenly does Oscar act like that? And why did he know that I could use magic? She pondered, her thoughts mired in confusion. Try as she might, Irinda struggled to find answers to these perplexing questions, leaving her feeling unsettled and uncertain. Oscar's persistent insistence on becoming partners grated on Irinda's nerves, pushing her annoyance to its limit. Sensing her frustration, Serena spoke up, noting Irinda's discontent. "Irinda, you don't look happy," she observed, concern evident in her voice. Unable to contain her irritation any longer, Irinda lashed out, kicking Oscar with her feet in a display of frustration. Turning to Serena, she forced a smile and replied, "I'm okay." Despite her attempt to reassure her friend, Irinda's actions spoke volumes about her true feelings towards Oscar's relentless demands. Oscar's persistence persisted as he continued to press Irinda about becoming his partner. Despite her previous reaction, he remained undeterred, repeating his request. In response, Irinda's patience waned, and she issued a warning. "If you want one more kick," she threatened, her frustration palpable. Oscar, however, remained resolute, undaunted by Irinda's resistance. "I don't give up really fast," he declared, his determination clear in his voice. Despite the tension between them, Oscar seemed unwilling to relent in his pursuit of Irinda as a partner. Serena's curiosity about Oscar's persistent requests puzzled Irinda. "But why does he always ask you to become his partner?" Serena inquired, seeking clarity. Irinda shook her head, admitting, "I don't know the reason." Oscar, appearing surprised by Irinda's response, questioned whether she truly needed a reason to become a partner. Irinda's reply was firm, "Actually, no. Even if you tell me the reason, I will refuse." Oscar chuckled in response, acknowledging Irinda's steadfastness. "Therefore, I won't say it," he declared, recognizing that his attempts to persuade her were futile in the face of her unwavering determination. Oscar's laughter grated on Irinda's nerves, further fueling her annoyance. Serena, noticing the tension, interjected, "What do I have to add after that?" Irinda glanced at Oscar, her irritation momentarily eclipsed by a fleeting thought. "Even while laughing, she looks cute," she mused internally. But then, her mind took an unexpected turn. "What's up, Luke? You also fell in love with that cuteness, didn't you?" As Irinda's gaze lingered on Oscar, she noticed his own eyes locked onto her. The moment hung in the air, laden with unspoken tension between them. Oscar's teasing remark caught Irinda off guard. "What, now you want to be my partner, huh? I'm so handsome, but you don't like me," he jested, a playful smirk on his face. But Irinda couldn't help but wonder why he was so persistent. "Why is he so stubborn?" she thought, feeling the weight of their shared responsibilities. "Because of you, we have to do almost all the assignments." Serena's voice broke through Irinda's thoughts, drawing her attention. "How do you handle all these things?" Serena asked, her concern evident. Confused by Serena's question, Irinda sought clarification. Serena explained, "I'm talking about Reynard. He almost fought with Luke yesterday." Irinda's confusion deepened as she processed Serena's words, realizing that tensions were brewing among her classmates, adding to the already complex dynamics of their school life. In the past, Reynald reminded Irinda about their promise to practice that day. "Don't forget the promise to practice today," he urged. Irinda acknowledged, "Yeah, I got it." However, Oscar, seated nearby, interjected with a taunt. "I heard that you mean to teach that stupid swordsmanship to a mage," he remarked. Reynald defended Irinda's decision, stating, "Irinda Maleficent's physical strength will get stronger if she practices diligently." Oscar remained skeptical. Do you believe in that? He questioned, casting doubt on the effectiveness of Arinda's training regimen. It's certainly a weird thing, Arinda reflected, acknowledging the unexpected turn of events. The main character is Selena, so obviously things will happen around her. But I've been the center for these days. Arinda couldn't help but feel a sense of bewilderment at the sudden shift in focus towards her. Accustomed to Selena's prominence, she found herself grappling with the newfound attention and responsibility that had been thrust upon her. Serena's mention of the Crown Prince prompted Arinda to ponder. How about the Crown Prince? She echoed silently, her mind swirling with questions. The Crown Prince. I don't know what happened, but the last time I saw him was when I was passing him. Everything was really a mess. Arinda's thoughts mirrored Serena's concerns, as she too found herself wondering about the Crown Prince's whereabouts and the chaos that seemed to surround him. Arinda's voice rang out in frustration as she addressed Serena. You said you had seen him when passing by? Just passing by? Didn't he hold you and say something weird? Like, what's your name? Her words carried a sense of urgency and concern, as Arinda sought clarification about Serena's encounter with the Crown Prince. The possibility of him acting strangely only added to the mystery surrounding his recent behavior. Serena's response was swift and straightforward. No, he and I weren't even familiar with each other, she clarified. Moreover, he is your fiancé. He has no reason to get closer to me. Arinda managed an awkward smile in response. There are a lot of reasons, she muttered, her mind buzzing with thoughts. But one question loomed large. But if Noah didn't care about Selena, what would happen? Could it be because of my spontaneous actions that the story was changed? The possibility of her actions altering the course of events weighed heavily on Arinda's mind, leaving her contemplating the ramifications of her decisions in the intricate tapestry of their shared story. Arinda's emotions surged as she contemplated the possibility that her fate might not be as predetermined as she once thought. If so, there is nothing guaranteed that I would die at the age of 20, right? She mused, her thoughts swirling with uncertainty. I could be killed, but no one would know. Turning to Serena, Arinda poured out her inner turmoil. Selena, what should I do now? What have I done? She lamented, her voice tinged with desperation. Inwardly, a dark thought crossed her mind. Should I use magic to make Noah lose his mind? Serena reached out, placing a comforting hand on Arinda's, offering solace in her time of distress. That's okay. You don't need to worry about things that won't occur, she reassured gently. I don't know what happened, but don't worry, I'm here with you. Arinda's heart warmed at Serena's words, finding comfort in her friend's presence. As they shared a moment of connection, Arinda couldn't help but remark, Serena is so cute, a small smile playing on her lips amidst the turmoil of her thoughts. Arinda's thoughts raced as she considered the implications of Noah's unexpected appearance. It's something that hasn't happened yet, and Noah hasn't said anything, she reasoned, her mind grappling with uncertainty. Maybe he's shocked, so he will break off the engagement. But she quickly admonished herself for entertaining such negative thoughts. I shouldn't have negative thoughts, she chided herself, striving to push aside her worries. Suddenly, Noah's voice pierced the air, calling out to her. Arinda, he said, drawing her attention. According to you, I directly went to find you. Let's talk a little. Arinda's heart skipped a beat at Noah's words, her mind swirling with a mix of anticipation and apprehension as she prepared to face whatever conversation lay ahead. As time passed, Arinda's frustration lingered, evident in the furrow of her brows and the tension in her posture. She took a moment to collect her thoughts, reminding herself of the environment she was in. I'm not scared. This is the academy, where student safety is the priority first, she reasoned, seeking reassurance in the institutional safeguards in place. At least, Noah won't kill me. Taking a deep breath, Arinda calmed herself, her rationality returning. Anyway, I've been killed twice, she muttered to herself, a hint of bitterness in her tone. There's no reason to be scared, right? With resolve firming her resolve, Arinda steeled herself for whatever challenges lay ahead, drawing strength from her past experiences and the knowledge that she had faced adversity before. Arinda felt a sudden rush of air against her ear, causing her to startle as Oscar appeared seemingly out of nowhere. His words were playful but carried an edge of sarcasm. "How cruel to have to follow your fiancé, right?" he remarked, his tone laced with mockery. Confusion clouded Arinda's expression as she questioned Oscar's presence. "Why are you following me?" she demanded, seeking an explanation. Oscar deflected her inquiry with a counter-question. "Do you intend to fight?" he asked, his expression unreadable. Arinda's frustration grew as Oscar spoke of his concerns for his partner. "Here, I'm fooling my partner in a dilemma. I was worried, so I followed," he explained cryptically. Arinda couldn't help but feel annoyed by Oscar's evasive response. "What about Serena?" she pressed, curious about his motivations. Oscar's reply only served to deepen her confusion. "This side is more interesting," he remarked casually. Frowning at his indifference, Arinda retorted, "Anyway, why can't you leave her alone?" Oscar's response was unexpectedly pointed. 15 years old, but you treat her like a child who just recently got engaged, he countered, his words tinged with reproach. Arinda's frustration boiled over as she unleashed a burst of magic towards Oscar, her thoughts a whirlwind of confusion and anger. "Who are you kidding with?" she seethed silently, her emotions raw. But Oscar's response caught her off guard. He pointed his finger towards the magic, redirecting its message towards Noah, the crown prince. As the magic hit Noah's head, Arinda's eyes widened in shock. Oscar's laughter echoed in the air, adding insult to injury. Noah, bewildered by the sudden turn of events, turned to Oscar, demanding an explanation. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice tinged with suspicion and confusion.
If you like this video, please subscribe, leave a like and comment.